continue talking about choosing foreign markets. This is a big thing when it comes down to international business. If you're going to go into this world, even if you have a lower level position in a company, you need to have your eyes open the whole time to pay attention to what's going on with this aspect of it, so you can learn the process and have input to sit down and make your company more successful in that country as you go through. Here's a big debate. By the year 2060, we're looking at a population just in the continent of Africa of 2.7 billion. Now, that being said, the socioeconomic level of the entire continent is low compared to the rest of planet Earth, except for the fact that no matter what happens, we just looked at numbers that say 93% of all millennials have cell phones. I'm telling you, the cell phones really advance a lot of different countries as you go through. These countries that have cell phones, they don't have to go through the whole process that the United States went to. They don't have to put telephone poles up and string telephone wires as they go through. They don't have to necessarily even have above ground electric cables as they go through. They can have small solar power stations that run different aspects of it. So they can be much more independent and much more modular than we have in the giant industrial base in the United States. They can skip 3 or 4 generations of technology and just dive into the current 5G network today, because the company tosses up a cell phone tower as you go through, and that changes how you do business and the communication process you go through. There's a probability that a lot of African countries will jump much faster than the American industrial age let us do in our process. So by the time it's all done, you're looking at some of the most distinctive potential growth of economics in Africa as you go through. So how might it be attractive? How can we as a nation, is the question you have to answer, is how can we as a business go into sub-Saharan Africa and introduce a product when you have a socioeconomic level where the money is less than $6,000 annual income for the average person? Find a product, find an opportunity, and sit down there and use that to sit there, expand your business, and get a toehold on one of the great markets that's going to happen by 2060 as you go through. A couple of things on the force screening is really looking at the cultural forces. A lot of the culture, there's a lot of warfare that happens in different countries, a lot of different types of segmentation of the populations, some demographic differences that go through, and data is really hard to assemble, especially from a distance as you go through. Boots on the ground, so to speak, walking the country, seeing what it's like is a big deal to understand. There's different segments as you go through. You may go into Cairo, and Cairo itself has a great, huge, massive people in it, but Heliopolis is an upscale area. So you go to Heliopolis in the middle of Cairo, boom, all of a sudden you have a nice high-end residential community full of all kinds of commercialization as you go through, compared to its neighbor right next door as a segment within Cairo itself. You'll find different pockets in different countries as you go all the way through in Istanbul, Turkey, as you go through the Mumbai, India. You'll see different pockets in the process, and you'll see different types of socioeconomic status. Can you penetrate the market from this level over here? And if you do, will you sit down and have some filtering into different markets around that same one? Those are the things you're going to look for, and data from a distance is hard to sit down and figure out, especially big data as you go through. Here is what I call a shopping list of competitive forces to pay attention to. Look on the market size and strength of the competitors that are there. Look at their market shares, their marketing strategies as you go through. You're going to be competing against some regional corporations as well. So is your market strategy better than theirs? Are they better suited because of the fact they know the locale as they go through? Look at the effectiveness of their promotional programs, the quality levels of their product lines, the source of their products, where they come through. Are they imported? Are they bringing them outside the country? If so, can you sit down and compete against them there? Or are they locally produced, and can you tap into those vendors or similar vendors? What is their pricing policies? There's really 5 different ways of pricing as you go through, so pay attention to the marketing. Look on the after-sales service. Are they really good, or is that an opportunity? Can you take care of your product and their products in after sales, and that way have an undergird into their marketplace as well? What is their distribution channels? Is it all word of mouth? Is it a series of relatives that they deal with in different warehouses and distribution centers? And then how do they cover their market? This list over here is worthwhile keeping for yourself. If you're serious about doing international marketing, this little shopping list really does help you pay attention to what's going out there before you choose that market as you go through. And the final selection, There's no substitute for personal visit to potential markets as you go out. Go out and pay attention. Have somebody that knows the country show you around. But keep in mind, they have their own agenda besides getting your fee as a consultant. Their agenda may be to sit down and enrich themselves in the process. So make certain that you pay attention and you listen to everybody that you come across and pay attention to them as you go through. Face-to-face interview really reveals information that's not out there. So here's a thinking question for you. Go through, choose a country, maybe even in our discussion process that you're going through to look at the countries that we're exploring. Make a list of sources you can sit down and go through the process to sit down and figure out what would you do if you're going to go into that country. Each segment should have something that's definable, something that's large, accessible, actionable, and of all things, capturable as you go through. Make certain that you have a realistic prospect that if you go into a country that you sit down there and have an opportunity to be successful as you go through. So when it comes to choosing foreign markets, after the first segment we talked about, in this segment, the cultural forces, the competitive forces, and then review the 5 bases of screening that we've talked about here, and then make certain that it has all the components for you to go into the country. Put these in your notes because they may show up on a test. Definable, large, accessible, actionable, and of all things, capturable. And I can't emphasize this enough. Before you go into market, do not do it only on the web. Pay attention. Even if you're going to have only a web-based presence, go out and beat the pavement, walking up and down and talking to human beings. At the end of the day, machines don't buy your products. It's the people that manipulate the machines. They're going to buy your product. So pay attention to that clientele as you go through. Take care.